Y'all ready for this?
Hey, what's going on, everyone? Welcome to another edition of the Pregame Show Rewind. I'm Tolly Carr. Of course, you know this guy right here. He's Uncle Neely. Let's bring him to you. He's in Boulder, Colorado. Neely, all right, we have to rewind back to the game on Saturday. It was a close but exciting loss to USC. You know, going into the game, Neely, I'm easy to please. My expectations were just keep me entertained. Keep me believing that Colorado has a chance to win this game for the majority of the game, and I'll be good. A win, that's the cherry on the top. Neely, I at least got my wish, man. That thing goes down to an onside kick that did not go their way. It was up and down, especially in that first half, but overall, an exciting game on Saturday.
Absolutely exciting, Charlie, but I'm going to push back on you a little bit. I don't know how much you really believed in the first and part of the second quarter, early second quarter. Coming off what happened in Oregon, I think there were a lot of people around the country saying, oh, no, here we go again. Colorado playing a ranked top 10 team, and this one is over before it starts. But by the time you got midways that second quarter going into halftime, when Shadour Sanders used the legs to score, and it was a totally different ball game from that point forward.
You know, Neely, I would have to be honest. I did have my doubts. Let's listen to a little bit of Coach Prime. You can hear the entire post-game press conference on the Pregame Show YouTube channel. Let's hear Coach Prime's thoughts on the game and his thoughts about moving forward.
We don't need to get warmed up to do this. We got to come out smoking and ready to go. Like when we come out the locker room, we're ready. In between the kickoff and the first series and the second series, that's when we have a little lackadaisical type of effort. But that's going to have to come from the coaching staff as well as the OCs and the DCs to make sure they put us in the right situation so that we're ready to go and understand the personnel that you have out there on the field and making sure we could call certain things that they can fulfill, so to speak. Great question. We understand what's coming. If you can't see what's coming with CU football, you've lost your mind. You're just a flat-out hater. If you can't see what's going on and what's going to transpire over the next several months, something's wrong with you.
So, Neely, a little bit about what Coach Prime said there is basically like, look, man, if you can't see that this thing is coming, like, I don't know what you're looking at. Maybe we'll get you a pair of those blenders. Maybe that'll help you see a little better. But if any game really, man, so far just summarized like hashtag we coming, I felt like it was that game right there. This is the number 5 team in the country. And, Neely, you take away that punt that – I don't know what happened there. You take away some other miscues. This could be an entirely different ball game and outcome.
Yeah, absolutely, Charlie. And that's why Coach Prime is confidently saying, as if he's never confident, he is confidently saying, you know, you have to see what we're building here. You're either blind, crazy, or a hater if you don't see it. Well, let's rewind some. We talked on the rewind time and time again that I felt strongly that we would go to Oregon 3-0. And the next 2 games after that will be measuring sticks, regardless of the outcome, measuring sticks to where you want to be, where you want to go as a program. Now, even though teeth got kicked in Oregon, when you look at how this coaching staff and these players were able to be resilient, turn the page, focus on the next opponent, then play a team better than the one you lost to, higher ranked than the one you lost to, Heisman Trophy winner on the other side, with possible another since Archie Griffin getting it 2 times in a row on the other side, and then you play them that well, but not just play them that well, Tolly. You play them that well with a Shiloh Sanders out, with a Travis Hunter out, with a starter Carter out, with a Miles Slusher who transferred from Arkansas out. So your secondary was depleted, counting on guys in the second unit to step up, and it's 48-41 and still went down to the last minute of the game with the onside kick.
You know, and no one wants to play the woulda, shoulda, coulda. Look, in Oregon, that game was what it was. You know, Travis Hunter or not, that game just did not go the way you wanted it to go. But, I mean, you take 1 or 2 of those guys that are injured, man, and the impact they could have potentially had on that game. But you did see some people come in and step up and play in ways that we have not seen, that even the coaches have not seen so far in practice. And I think one of the brightest spots of that game in terms of new efforts, Omarion Miller. Where did that come from? What did y'all give him at halftime, Neely?
We just gave him a talk, but it started before halftime, Tolly, and we can get ready to toss to a special interview that I did with him after the game that was interrupted by no other than the playmaker. But when you look at the team dinner the night before, Coach Prime and Coach Rashad, who's a graduate assistant for the wide receiver room, had him stand up and say, what are you going to do tomorrow with this opportunity? And he accepted the challenge. You didn't get to the game, and he's almost 200 receiving yards. And to have him be an interview post-game and weeks previous had never even been a target or caught a pass just shows the resiliency of this team and the next man up philosophy. And then to have Michael Irvin interrupt the interview and pour it to him is just amazing.
All right, let's hear a little bit from that, and we'll come back and talk more about Mr. Miller.
Man, what a day. What a day.
Yes, sir. Today was all about proving myself, just proving myself I can be on this field and dominate, stepping in for Trav, and just playing my part,
Last night the team meeting, man, it was talked about. You were called out, like, what are you going to do with this opportunity? Look what you did with it.
Oh, yes, sir. Like, it was all a dream, I dreamed this yesterday night, I felt like I was going to make plays, imagine myself making plays. So, I just played this potential, and all came true.
Wasn't the outcome on the scoreboard we wanted, man, but great production. We got some more season to play, and you're going to be counted on.
Oh, yes, sir, for sure.
Incredible job, bro.
Sure.
Hey, playmaker, you got to understand now, this is his
boy
first
right
catch
here,
this day.
This boy here is a bad dude right here. This dude ran that out route. I grabbed him. I said, man, that was an NFL out route. The patience on it. Man, you made a play, man. Way to keep playing, man.
Yes,
big-time players make big-time plays and big moments, and that was, we'll get him next time.
There it is.
I didn't think we was going to get that from Mario. I ain't seen that yet. No, I mean, he hadn't practiced well. That's why he hadn't played. But he was forced into action, and he showed up and showed out, and we celebrated him after the game because of how he stepped up. And now I'm pretty certain that his confidence is going to soar through the roof. So now we could really call set plays for him and really depend on him a lot more, because when he could take the pressure off Xavier and Jimmy, and in the running game as well, that's tremendous.
All right, so Neely, even in postgame, Coach Prime, someone asked him, about, hey, Omarion Miller, where did this effort come from? Did you know this was coming? And he said, I have not seen this in practice. Now, of course, he should have the confidence moving forward. Neely, that is pretty impressive to not perform that way in practice and then get in the game against the number 5 team in the country. God knows how many people were watching. We'll probably find out, shortly if this was another record-breaking day on Fox. But man, he looked like he was the most dominant receiver on the field. You can't question that.
Absolutely he was. And it was dominant because of effort, dominant because of belief in himself, and dominant because he embraced this opportunity, having a Travis Hunter out, having Zay Weaver, who was in, but still kind of nursing that ankle injury from Oregon. And he just filled in that space and that void, man. And once Shadour Sanders believes in you, he's coming back to you. And what Coach Prime was saying about practice is almost mirroring what he said about Cormani McClain. There's just some things I don't see from guys at practice, and so I don't trust them to just suddenly do them in a game. Pastor E. Dewey Smith said to me, he said, Neely, you got to keep in mind, some people don't test well. You can give them a test, and they just fail it, but you give them an opportunity and they can show you that they're ready. And I think that's what you saw in Miller and Cormani, is that regardless of what their practices look like, or their practice habits, that when the lights come on for a game, they can be there for you.
And I can relate to that. Neely, if we did any sort of rehearsal for our show, which we do not, it would not be the same thing. Not saying this is the greatest thing, but there's just a different feeling when all right, this is real. There's no do-overs. We can't start over. Talk a little bit. You kind of talked about him here. Cormani McClain. He's, you come in, you're a 5-star, you're one of the top kids in high school, but it's been a rough transition, but we did see some positive things from him yesterday.
Absolutely. He's a freshman, man, and freshmen have growing pains. You come in as the number 1 recruit in the country. You come in highly talented and capable. And you have to adjust to college ball. It took him a while to get acclimated to the strength and conditioning program here. It's taken him a while to embrace and learn Coach Kelly's defensive schemes. But there's no erasing or doubting his just individual athletic talent and his acumen mentally for the game and where to be. Kind of just a naturally gifted player like Coach Prime was, but then has to put in that work ethic to take it to the next level. And that's what Coach Prime is pushing on him, and even calling him out public at times. Told him post-game, when Coach Prime did his post-game talk, called him up and said, hey, man, proud of you. I've been on you. I'm going to stay on you. I'm going to coach you up. This is not going to stop because I can believe in you. And when Cormani came up to fist bump him, had earrings in, which aren't allowed in the locker room, and Coach Prime said, see, like you got your earrings in, but I'm not going to stop. I'm going to get you there. But to his credit, McClain has responded.
Another guy been on his button. I'm not going to let off. I'm going to keep my foot on his throat because I know he has in him. Cormani, where you at?
What?
Catching earrings in your ear one more time, I know something, right? But I still love you, boy.
He talked about in the post-game press conference, that he told all of his players, like, look, I love you. He told his assistant coaches, I love you. Like, there has to be something about that type of effort. We have talked about this before, when Coach Prime was at Jackson State, and you and I are big movie buffs, and we talk about, which Rocky movie was this? I felt like this was Rocky 1. And USC might have been like, whispering in your ear, ain't gonna be no rematch.
Absolutely, man. Well said. That's just a great moment in pop culture movie history that people it escapes them. They forget that the ring announcer says, and still champion, meaning Apollo had won the fight. But before you hear that announcement, Apollo is leaning in going, hey, dog, I don't want to do this no more. And then Rocky's like, I don't either. Like, this is it. Because it was that kind of grueling match. And you can even see in Caleb Williams, if you watch the game, and when he took that victory formation in that knee, it was like a whoo, like, I am glad that this is over because one more possession and we're going into overtime. Everybody knew that if Shadour Sanders gets that ball back, it's going to be Colorado State all over again. It's going to be Jackson State in the Celebration Bowl all over again. We are going into overtime if the young Brady, a.k.a. Shadour grown legendary Sanders, gets that ball back.
There's so many things to touch on. Let me talk about Cameron Silman-Craig. When he got that interception, the first person this season to intercept Caleb Williams. And look, we love Shadour. We talk about him all the time. But look, that guy on the other side, man, if he wins the Heisman Trophy again this year, I'm not going to be upset. I'm not going to say, oh, it should have went to somebody. Like, that dude is doing even better than he was last year. But
absolutely,
Cameron picked him off. And you probably didn't see it because, I'm looking at the game. You're there at the game. Caleb Williams had this laugh like, man, like, all right, I see what I'm dealing with here. Like, he laughed it off, but it was a laugh of appreciation for another big pick by Cameron.
Yes. And not just a pick by number 7, Silman-Craig, a pick by HBCU player that followed Coach Prime to the Pac-12, to the Power 5 level, and doing exactly what he did at the SWAC. And people were saying, oh, that's just because he's, picking off weaker quarterbacks. Well, here he is reading the best quarterback in the nation, who has won the Heisman Trophy previously, on his path to do it again. Now, pause. Keep in mind, I still believe Shadour Sanders is the best quarterback in the nation. But the Heisman Trophy typically doesn't just go to the best player in college football. It goes to the best player in college football that's on a team that's also dominant and winning. So we have that hurdle to overcome if we're ever going to really push Travis and Shadour into that space. Having said that, Caleb Williams is who he is. He is dominant. He is prolific. You're watching a once maybe 2-generation kind of talent emerge at QB. But here's Cameron Silman-Craig reading him and picked him off, and then just went with the ball like, hey, I'm ready to play again. Let's do it. Like, it wasn't this dancing in the end zone, throwing the ball in the stands. It was like, here, let's go back because I'm ready to play. And this is coming from a kid who didn't get to play a lot, maybe not at all at TCU. Gets in Nebraska, gets a pick, does well at Colorado State. And so you're seeing him growing into what we knew he was at Jackson State and what he can be at this level.
Yeah, and it's a kid who's played with Coach Prime since what, Neely, the high school level. Like, he was a member of the Trinity squad, right? He
was, absolutely. Been with Coach Prime, has developed under Coach Prime, and came to Jackson State because of Coach Prime, and is at Colorado because of Coach Prime. All
right, let's talk about the effort from Shadour Sanders on Saturday. Things got off to a little slower start, but really those 3 unanswered scores in the second half, man, had us all on the edge of our seats. When you go back and look at that game statistically, Caleb Williams had more touchdowns, but the passing numbers wasn't that much separation. Shadour did a better job running the ball. If you're saying, and this is what people are saying, hey, this kid right here, talking about Caleb Williams, is going to the NFL. He's going to be the number one pick. He's going to be a generational talent. Then you got to say pretty much the same about Shadour, because what he took, he gave. I mean, that thing was tat for tat.
You absolutely have to see it that way. The yardage was right there. The interception even was right there. The percentage completion was right there. The QBR was right there. Shadour is just a phenomenal talent, man. But here's one thing I think separates them, and this is no downplay of Caleb and who he is and what he's going to be. But Shadour is what he is, even under duress. When you look at what happened at Oregon and sacked 8 times, but still didn't throw a pick, still had 78% completion record and during that game. And what it shows you is that even under duress, this guy can still do his thing. He can do it when he's got time to throw. He can do it when he ain't got time to throw. And I think if you're an NFL scout, because let's keep this in mind, Tolly, if you're drafting in the first round and you're drafting a quarterback, you sucked the year before.
Yep.
So it is what it is. You're going to a team that has issues. So if I'm looking to pick a guy, I'm going to pick the guy that, hey, man, I saw him play this well with an inferior offensive line. I saw him play this well down 2 scores with 6 minutes left. He can't just play well when the sun shine and no rain. He plays well when it's a thunderstorm. So I like what I see in Shadour's numbers on good days and bad days.
Yeah, and that's what makes the difference with these NFL scouts, what they look at, because, you might be a quarterback on a dominant team, but Neely, if your offensive line is killing it, if your wide receivers are open and you don't have to throw them open, and I'm not saying this about Caleb Williams. I'm just saying that we have seen this with other quarterbacks. Like, man, they were dominant, but, things didn't work out in the NFL. Well, it was so easy. Once they had to play where it wasn't easy, it's like, oh,
absolutely,
he doesn't have that gear.
You look at some of the quarterbacks who have transitioned from University of Alabama to the league when they don't have a dominant defense and a dominant O-line and just a hell of a running back room. They struggle when they get to the next level because they've never had to struggle before. Shadour Sanders has showed you, man, like, pressure in my face, I stand there and take it and can throw darts. You give me time to stand flat-footed, I can throw darts. I like who he is, no matter the circumstance.
One thing I will say, final note here on Shadour. Neely, I feel more confident about him making the play on 4th down than I do 1st down, if that makes sense.
It does. It does. I feel the same way about this defense here in Colorado. Charles Kelly has a hell of a blueprint for him and is coaching them up, but there are times that they play much better when they have no damn choice but to play better right now. When they just absolutely have to have it, they step up and do it. Look at what happened second half, in this game. They really were able to take it to Caleb, take away some of the things, but it was the same schematic from the first half. They just stepped up more. And you see the same thing with Shadour, man. That's why I tell you, I don't think there's a person on either sideline. I don't care if you're Keyshawn Johnson, a USC guy, or if you're Michael Westbrook, who's a Colorado guy. Everybody knew if we recover this onside kick, this game is going into overtime.
Yeah, that the energy and the momentum was definitely on the side of Colorado. One of the things we like to do here on the Rewind is give you bigger context because we have been following Coach Sanders for so long. Neely, these slow starts are not anything new. We saw a lot of this at Jackson State, where you look out there the first quarter, you're like, man, why aren't the horses running? Like, I know what this team has. And then they finally get it going, and the final score might not be indicative of the start. And even though we have seen this movie before, it's still something Coach Prime has talked about as recently as right after the game that he says he personally needs to get on to get fixed, Neely.
I don't know what it is, Tolly. The only thing I can think of that we can try, harking it back to Jackson State days and even now, I don't know what the mojo is with Coach Prime or Shadour Sanders when they're out there for the coin toss. But even this season, we have yet to lose a coin toss, which means we decide who gets the ball first. And in Jackson State days with that dominant defense, we would always put the defense out first so we could control that opening of the third quarter. Maybe it's time to let the offense go first, a time or two to see if that gets them going fast. I would have thought that yielding to the defense, giving the offense time to soak up some game energy, watch the defense do their thing, they would be more prepared to start fast. But you're exactly right. If you look at what has been happening here in Colorado, it's similar to what happened in Jackson State. Very dominant finishes, but definitely slow starts. If we can ever get all three phases to play all 4 quarters, these games won't be close.
Well, let me give the Colorado faithful out there something that you can chew on that Uncle Neely kind of coined during the Jackson State days. And that is, when that defense is rolling, all the offense has to do is score 21 because the defense is not going to give up more than 2 touchdowns. And we used to I used to have this thing where you would predict the score of the Jackson State game. And that was the logic that you used. And Neely, if and when it gets to that point, man, that's a pretty good position to be in, knowing this is what my defense is going to give up. And all I got to do is hit this number on offense.
And I still believe in it. You know, out of all the phases of the games, including the head coach, I sit in Charles Kelly's meeting room more than anybody. Charles Kelly was previously Alabama, Florida State, has won national championships, has gone undefeated in conference before at this level, so he knows what he's doing. And in his ear, right just off his left shoulder, you got Dennis Thurman, who's had so much success in the NFL orchestrating defenses and also put together those back-to-back defenses at Jackson State. I like where this defense is going. One of the things when you see these high scores coming up against us, you have to kind of look at the stats a little deeper. That block punt, now you're putting the defense where instead of protecting 60 yards behind them, they're protecting 23 or 18 yards behind them. So sometimes there are other pieces in play with the offense and special teams that can put a defense at a disadvantage as far as them really being able to execute to the level they can. But we also have to really wait and see when this defense is fully healthy and fully engaged in the system. I don't think they're anywhere near peaking yet, man. I think Colorado's defense is going to be one special for years to come.
Well, before the season is over, I'm going to love to see Shiloh and Travis back there together. You got a guy that can cover the whole side of the field, and then you got the CEO of the Headache Gang, of course. The wide receivers, Neely. When the season began, I knew what Travis Hunter was going to be, and I'm looking at your reports. I'm like, all right, Jimmy Horn's going to be the alpha dog, and it's kind of going to be those two. I still think the best of Jimmy Horn is still to come, but man, that help that they have, especially, with the breakout of Omarion Miller this weekend, man, when you get all those pieces there together, and we did see some of the running game on Saturday. There is still, not looking forward to 2024. There's still a lot of potential for 2023 here, Neely.
Oh, no doubt about it, man. We got 7 games left, 8 weeks, including that bye. 9 weeks if you include the Pac-12 championship, about 13 weeks if you include the break between the bowl game. There's a lot of football left for Colorado. Speaking of Travis and Shiloh, they were both at the game, on the sidelines, pregame warmers, cheering the teams along. Had a chance to talk to Shiloh about his injury and his mentality about when he's coming back. You look, though, at that wide receiver room, though, Tolly, you're exactly right. You've seen enough from Jimmy Horn to know that you're going to see more. You've now seen Miller do his thing. And just wait till Javon Antonio, the big receiver, really gets into a game flow and coming back from that injury. This wide receiver room is full of weapons for Shadour, and he's going to trust the matchup of the day and continue to go that target way of the day. So there's no telling next week or the week after which receiver has 150 to 200 yards again.
All right, let's make a point on Javon Antonio, but first let's hear from Shiloh Sanders. You had a chance, as you just said, to talk to him yesterday during the game.
I'm feeling good. I could have really went today, but they're trying to be really precautious of my kidney. Worst come to worst, I'll just pee more blood. It's not nothing like life-threatening or anything like that. So I was trying to just play this week, but they have me in the labs every day doing pee tests, and if they see a lot of blood in it, then they're not going to let me play. But worst come to worst, it's not life-threatening or anything like that. I won't need a new kidney or anything.
Well, you're going to be missed out here on the field, but I'm glad you're here because this team needs your voice on the sideline. You know how to coach.
I'm not really. I like talking that junk.
Okay, let me change that. You know how to motivate.
Yeah, I like leading by example. I've never been like a vocal leader like that, but I just use confidence and stuff, and that rubs off on other people, especially when you go out there and play with confidence. So, we got Rod in today. Rod's gonna get to that ball. He's gonna hustle, and he's a real. So I don't know if you can use that, but he's real. So we should be fine.
We'll be.
All right, that's a quick word from Shiloh. We, of course, would love to see him back on the field, but we want him to be healthy. Internal injuries or something that you don't want to play around with. Some things you can rub a little dirt on. Internal injuries, not the case. But we talk about the big receiver, Antonio. I think as he continues to get into the flow, there's some small things that you'll see incremental improvement that will be crucial. There was one play yesterday. I feel like it was an incompletion, or it might have been lack of a first down. I can't remember if he caught it and didn't get the first down or he didn't catch it. But the difference was he needed to run that route 1 more yard. And Shadour was like, all right, I know you're going to be, 9 yards in here. And he ran 8.5. Those small things that can turn into that first down or that completion that he'll get as the weeks come, that's more of that potential and improvement that you can tangibly see that's on the way.
I totally believe it. And not just in the wide receiver room. I believe it across the board. If you look at what has kept other teams in these games or what has propelled the 2 teams who've beat us to beat us, it has not been just overwhelming what they have done. It's been what we've handed them. We've handed them running a route a yard or 2 yards too short, and now we're, punting instead of having the first down. We've handed them excellent field position because of poor execution on a block punt, those kind of things. Once we clean up our side, I think you're going to see more and more dominance from this unit. I think as these players get back healthy, you're going to see more and more dominance for this unit. And I'm echoing what Coach Prime said. If you don't see it, if you're just sitting there going, no, you're either crazy or you're a hater, because it is painfully obvious where this train is headed for CU football, and not next year and the year after that, but even this season.
All right, I got more on the game that I want to touch on because I watched the game and I watch it on TV and they make points and I'm like, ooh, let me ask Neely about that because he's like right in the middle of hearing what's going on. But I don't want to get too far without talking about this week's celebrity interview, because especially on these home games, man, you never know who you're going to catch up with. So yesterday, let's see. You had a famous rapper, very famous rapper. You had do we have 2 NBA Hall of Famers here? We got a big-time Major League Baseball pitcher. I don't want to give it all away. Let's check it out on the sidelines with Uncle Neely.
CC Sabathia, you're here in Boulder, Colorado. Prime effect.
Prime effect. Just watching the prime effect in Jackson State, and watching the documentary and, being a big Prime fan of him being a father and a football player. It's just amazing to be able to come here and see this. This is crazy.
Yeah, when you see the ripple effect it's having across America, particularly Black America, what kind of opportunities do you think that open up for fellow coaches to come behind him?
Oh, I think it opens it up for enormous opportunities. Just seeing, what he can do here and the amount of stars that are coming here. The baby's here, the rapper Simba's here. Just seeing the amount of people that were here the last couple of weeks. This is only going to get bigger and bigger. So I think the opportunities for, coaches to come behind him is just immense.
The talk of the town was that the players from HBCUs and the coaches from HBCUs couldn't do it at this level. So far, proving all that wrong.
And even Shadour, this is, a huge stage for him, and him to be able to be out here and showing off his Heisman ability is incredible.
Final thought. My and your Yankees really needed you this year.
No, they didn't need me. I've been done. They need somebody else.
Appreciate the time, bro.
No problem.
Thanks, CC.
Of course.
Oh, yeah, man. I told you the babies, I had to come back and see her, come check on them and see how the progress going and see if we can put some more concrete on that ground and get it solid.
Yeah, lay that foundation.
Oh, it's always about the foundation. They understand what's going on. And, you got to come back. You got to tell them you're coming, and then when they see you, they're like, oh, he's serious. Yes, I'm definitely serious.
Speaking of seeing us, word is you may be seeing a little bit more of us in the future.
Well, let's just wait on that future to come around. Let's not say anything that break the internet.
We're going to catch up with your pregame, postgame, halftime, all that, man. Much love, brother.
All that. I'm right here, baby. I'm
99.
here for it. You know this, baby.
Miss Brooke, you back at home?
This is where I live at. I was born and raised right here.
Yeah. I know we're out here pregame, but tell me about the excitement you're feeling for this crowd to witness what they're going to witness and for this resurgence of Colorado football.
First and foremost, we got an inter-family dynamic going on. My daughter and son both are, and my son-in-law is USC alumni. Yeah. And so, but the house is split because my daughter was born in Boulder, and she was raised in Arizona. But and being here right now, this game, we're about to shock the world first and foremost. Yeah. We're about to shock the world. I know what's going on. I know what went on last week, and I know what's going on this week. And the team looks excellent, and we're about to shock the world.
Starting with your daughter first. As much as they enjoyed that meal yesterday, they got the shirt for the Buffs today.
Oh, no, she got her Buff gear on, so just let it be known. She's saying she's not a trader, but she's split down the middle. But today she's 90% Buffs in Colorado, so Colorado all the way.
So last night, man, with the efforts of Coach Prime, you were able to receive a trophy that you earned in college.
Right.
The team got to see a highlight video of you, and it really opened their eyes to the caliber of players that used to be here.
Most definitely, it was actually good for them to see stuff like that, and then the coach kind of like spoke on like what he was looking for from that film. You know, like give me the play, give me the ball. I want put it on me. I want it. I want all the smoke. I want to show you what I'm talking about.
And I'm gonna use their helmet to get up.
Hey, you like that one? When we down on the ground, you ain't my friend. I'm gonna use your head as leverage to get up with. You know what I'm saying? That was our mentality back in the day. Yeah. It wasn't kill to be killed, it was just kill. You know what I'm saying? Only one person gonna die.
Appreciate the love, Westbrook.
Yeah, love it.
Appreciate you, man. Paul Pierce, welcome to Boulder.
What's up, man? Good to be here.
Yeah. What do you think about the Prime effect and what's sweeping the nation, particularly black fans embracing Colorado?
I mean, I love it, man. Just, you know, he just created a whole new culture and a place where it had this type of culture that for us guys like me and different celebrities come out and support Prime. You know, he's always brought this type of wave, you know, wherever he went. So we here to support him.
Man, we appreciate the love. We catch up with your post game, brother.
All right.
This is what we do. Welcome to Boulder, baby.
Thank you. I appreciate it, man. Stoked to be here.
Yeah, talk to us about the Prime effect and you coming to town for this game.
Oh man, we're here to support Coach Prime, man. P and I brought our show up here to, you know, not only check out the vibes and, you know, see it ourselves, but to be supportive, man. You know what I'm saying? Coach Prime has not only meant a lot in football, but just in sports, inspired both of us to just, you know, to be great at what we do. And yeah, it was only right that we come up here, be part of the wave, and show some support.
I tell anybody listening that Coach Prime is this generation's Muhammad Ali, man.
Absolutely, very inspirational. Has inspired a bunch and a ton of athletes, if not people.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like Deion is a source of light, man. So I'm glad to be able to call him a friend. I'm honored to be able to be in the presence of him and learn and continue to talk to him and, you know, and have a solid friendship. So it's only right that we're here in Boulder. You know what I'm saying?
And since you're here, final question, UNP, will we get the Shadour Shiloh matchup in hoops versus y'all?
So like I told young fella, man, he could get it. Just, you know, with a warning label, you understand?
50K and a warning label.
Absolutely not, man. Absolutely not. But those are little nephews, man.
Yeah.
Salute to those guys, man.
Yeah. Appreciate the love, man. Appreciate you. Another game, another meeting at the 45-yard line. Pastor E. Dewey-Smith.
Yes, sir, Uncle Neely. Hey, it's for us, man. It's our time. We're in the midst of it. David and Goliath. God does his best with underdogs. I love being an underdog. I love being underestimated. So when you knock somebody in the mouth and get victory, all the glory goes to God.
Amen.
It's our time.
As we walked in Oregon last week, you whispered to Coach Prime, enlarge our territory.
Yes, sir. I believe that. I believe this is bigger than just football. This is about faith. This is about life. It's about building young men. It's about generational wealth and generational legacies. It's about teaching principles and values to make and mold young men to be in families, to make positive young men who are going to make contributions for decades to come. It's bigger. He's going to enlarge our territory from football to business to spirituality to faith to education to entertainment to arts and media. This moment is bigger than just football.
Amen.
Yes, sir.
Much love, brother. Appreciate you always. T.O., we back at Folsom Field. USC is in town.
Hey, it's showtime.
Yeah.
You know what? We took 1 on the 10 last week. Another week to redeem ourselves. These boys ready.
What do you need to see out of this game, this team, this unit to get victory?
Just up front. You know, that's why the game is won. You know what I mean? So those guys protect Shadour, get some running lanes for the running backs. Shadour gonna do what he do. You know what I mean? Put the ball in the playmaker's hand, let them make plays. And I think defensively we're gonna get tested today. And I think Shiloh got those boys on the back end, and the boys up front, they ready for that.
T.O., baby.
Yep.
Key, you are here, USC, man, in Boulder. I know you got mad love for Coach Prime. What's the keys to this game for both sides?
First of all, I think it's going to be the line of scrimmage because the skill positions, as far as I'm concerned, they're pretty even across the board. It's going to be that beat meat and potato right inside. Can they offensive line hold up against SC's defensive line? And can defensive line on Colorado penetrate the offensive line SC? That's what it's going to boil down to.
As a receiver, get me the damn ball. You got 2 Heisman caliber quarterbacks. What's the focus on them?
Well, you can't let Caleb freelance and just run around and do what he wants to do. And then in terms of Shadour on the other side, he's the most sacked quarterback right now in college football. If they can protect him up and he can do what he normally does, you know what I'm saying? It's gonna wind up being a shootout.
Keyshawn, appreciate you, brother.
All right, no problem.
My man. Good baby, how about that love from the crowd?
Oh man, it's a beautiful thing, man. Beautiful atmosphere, man. Beautiful atmosphere out here. Pleasure to be here today.
You dropped in on the team dinner last night, had some words with them.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Just got to, just give them a little bit of my story, a little bit of my testimony, man. It was real simple, real straightforward. Keep going, you know what I mean? Adversity gonna come with any journey. That's the beautiful part, you know what I mean, on the back end. So on hindsight, you look back at the journey and them be the most beautiful moments, you know, when you navigate through what come with your process, you know what I'm saying?
Talk about what this means, particularly to Black America, what Coach Prime is doing here.
Bro, it's a beautiful thing, man. It's a real live movie to watch, you know what I'm saying? Real live. I don't even want to call it a Cinderella story. It's never been done before. We can't call it no type of story, man. It's the prime time story. Believe that, man. Go Buffs.
The baby, appreciate you, man.
Neely, what a lineup there. You got the baby, you got Kevin Garnett, you got Paul Pierce, you got CC Sabathia. And once again is just another Saturday in Boulder.
Yeah, and add in Keyshawn Johnson and Terrell Owens and Warren Sapp. Lecrae was there. Like it went all the way to gospel rap this time. You just never know who's going to pull up to watch Coach Prime and these Colorado Buffaloes do their thing. And they recognize the impact, man, that it is having on the culture. Something that you and I have discussed with our friend Coach Carl Reed on the Big Boys. It is much like Georgetown Hoyas under John Thompson. Here is a predominantly white school in just that right there in D.C., and no one ever heard of it to Patrick Ewing put on the T-shirt under his jersey. And you had just that influence of hip hop on the team, and it rippled across the country, and everybody was a Hoya fan all of a sudden. And you saw that again, even though different circumstances with the Fab Five and the running rebels at UNLV. It's just now Colorado's turn, man. Everybody across the nation is either loving or hating the Colorado Buffaloes because the impact is having well beyond football.
And it's hard to hide. When you hear people talk, you can't straddle the fence. Like, what's in your heart, it just comes out of your mouth. And that's just the way it is, man. I want to go back to the game. One thing that I really loved. And look, I loved the Colorado State game. I loved how that went down, and I loved all the talking back and forth. That was fun. But I thought yesterday, the competition was so fierce, and you had, coaches and players that really respected one another. I think Lincoln Riley, played it great. Even during his post-game interview, Shadour came over there and kind of interrupted for a second, and he wanted to make sure he congratulated him. Unless I missed something, like this was a week where it was full competition on the field. We were all entertained, and it was respectful, before, after, and during.
It was. And, whether that is people have learned lessons the 4 previous weeks, don't poke the Buffalo over here and get them riled up, because it's going to be what it is going to be, but it could be more of it if you poke the Buffalo and get them riled up. But I thought on both sides of the ball, man, that it was clean football, building up to the game, during the game, and after. Even Caleb and Shadour talking at the end of the game and, telling each other, keep going, keep balling, because I think they understand that there's a good chance at the end of the season they'll be sitting next to each other in New York City at the Downtown Athletic Club. And there's nothing wrong with someone bringing the best out of you. Iron sharpens iron, man, and you want to go against that kind of competition. And so for Shadour to be now in his 3rd year college ball, but 1st year at this level, showing that dominance, showing, that he can also be a sportsman and a leader of not only just team, but a leader of college football. You think about even NIL impact. These are the only 2 quarterbacks is enriched as NIL has flooded into the collegiate market. They're the only 2 that you see on national ads. They really transcend the geographic footprint of their colleges. They are national figures at this game.
Hey, that Maybach's not going to pay for itself, Neely. You got to get them KFC commercials, baby. I don't know what Caleb Williams is pushing, but all this week, people have been talking about this Maybach, man. But I love it. Like, you cannot sit there and look and say, oh, we had record viewership. There was 10 million people. All that equals money. Yeah. And we are watching the game to watch these kids. So I'm so glad that common sense legislation has made its way into the game. And they are reaping the benefits of the success and entertainment that they are giving away. Let's talk about some more revenue here. Brother Carl came to see you, Neely. When we last talked as a group on the Big Boys, we wanted to make sure that not only you took Carl Reed out for a good time, but you also picked up the tab. So he was in Boulder the last few days, man. What's the verdict, Neely? Did you take the brother out for a good meal?
The verdict is no contest as it relates to the tab, because I can't pay a tab and we never really got to sit down and share a meal together. So it's not that I'm guilty or innocent. It's just no contest. Carl Reed was here this week. We did a couple of segments for the Big Boys. Those will be dropping as far as some pregame stuff as well. But Carl and I did not get to go out, man, because when you get to that 48-hour mark before kickoff, Coach Prime, a.k.a. Deion Sanders, ain't playing about the clock. We move in about 10 and 15-minute intervals for the last 24 hours. So sorry to say, Carl and I did not get to break bread, and I didn't get to pick up the tab. But we'll get it next time.
Well, here's something. Let's take people behind the curtain for the content that we produced. Neely, we're together sometimes, a couple times a week producing content. Mm-hmm. We've been doing it for the last couple of years. Neely, count on your hand, this hand right here, how many times we've actually been in the same room together. Like, me and you actually seen each other, been in the same room. I think that's it. I don't know how you made the balloons come up there. That was pretty awesome. But
I thought you did that. I don't know what happened there either.
I didn't do it.
Must be something on the computer. Oh. I didn't do it intentionally.
AI.
We learned something about technology. You put two fingers up, count down, and balloons go. Let's try it again.
4, 3, 2, 1.
I did something like that and balloons went across the screen.
I didn't do it. Hey, but anyway, we had the balloons.
Either way, but you're exactly right, Tolly. You're in Atlanta. I've been in Jackson. You're in Atlanta. I've been in Boulder. And we do this thing. I think of 2 SWAC media days and a JSU home game. So we've been in the same place at the same time, just on 3 occasions.
Yeah. And that's it. It's amazing how all this works, man. But
I do know this.
Yep.
Coming soon.
Yeah, you owe me a meal.
Coming soon. Carl Reed and I are coming to the Atlanta studio, and we're doing some segments with Tolly Carr from Atlanta in the HBCU Game Day studio. So that's going to change.
So now I got to pick up the tab. I feel like this is where this is headed.
Hey, you hosting, so that's only standard, man.
This guy, man, he goes from, sorry, Carl, we were too busy but don't worry, we're going to Atlanta, and Tolly will pick up the tab.
Yeah, he's going to pay for both of us. That's it, man. I've been in politics before. That's how it works.
Well, I'll tell you what, when we have this dinner, there's somebody else we need to invite, at least in spirit. Mama T. Big shout out to Mama T. She is one of the important members of our community here at the Pregame Show. She's always in the comments. Not that you have to be positive. Hey, we're entertained by it all. But she always has something positive to say and really participates in watching the content and weighing in her opinion. But big shout out to Mama T.
I mean, I love Mama T and her comments. She watches all the videos, always has something positive and encouraging to say. Even when we mess up or something, she's still lifting us up instead of kicking us while we're down. And, Tolly, this is how much I love Mama T. I grew up on rap music, and I remember when Houdini said, all I ever was about was rocking the mic. You can say what you want, just spell my name right. I don't even get mad when Mama T spells my name wrong. She gives me Nealey, and I still click it and like it. Like, man, you go, Mama T. I don't care what Houdini said. You can continue to spell my name wrong.
This thing with your name, man. So somebody in the comments said they wanted you to start going by Neels, like Neels, like, just kind of shorten it. Like, hey, it's Neels in the house,
I don't know if Neels is actually shorter than Neely, though. It's like, how much time are you gaining and saving by taking the Y off and putting the S?
I don't know, but my favorite was whoever called you Uncle Needly. That was the best one. Now, there was some slander in the comments this week about the beard. The beard is a national treasure. It does not.
The beard ain't going around.
It does not.
I've seen people say I need to shape it up, cut it back. I've seen people say you need to dye it. But hey, man, the beard is iconic, man. This is where we are.
It is what it is. So there will be no more slander on the beard. Okay?
And in fact, let me disclose something that people don't know. Take you behind the curtain, inside the box that's wrapped in a riddle, packaged in an enigma. When you see us post game and we're helping Coach Prime get off the field safely, that's really just a red herring. That's a throw off. Those guys are actually there to protect the beard. All that muscle, all those guns, all those uniform and badges, it's to protect the beard, man.
There's projectiles coming out of the stands, man. You can't get anything caught in the beard, man. It reminds me of the year was probably 1980. I was like in kindergarten. I had this afro, man, and I fell asleep with gum, and gum fell out of my mouth, and I rolled around, and gum all in my afro. Had to cut it out. No, you have to protect. We cannot get anything.
When you mentioned that in 1980, I thought you were going to go Captain Caveman when he would reach inside his beard and could pull out a car.
That would be a good look for you, man. That was one of my favorites. Captain Caveman. Captain Caveman. All right.
Hey, we are truly telling everybody our age, man. Yeah. They got to go Google some of this stuff.
Absolutely. Hey, in our next episode of the Rewind, we're going to do a segment on something special from the 80s. I made a purchase. Online of something to bring back a special memory from my childhood in the very early 80s. We'll a little tease. We'll talk about that on our next episode.
Can't wait. I love the 80s.
All right. Well, he is Uncle Neely. I am Tolly Carr. It's been another episode of the Pregame Show Rewind. Make sure you check out the YouTube channel all week long. Go to the website, thepregameshow.com. All the latest on Colorado. Neely, next opponent this weekend coming up.
We headed to Arizona, man. Going to be in Tempe on the road. I like the matchup. I think that we have an opportunity. You want to go 1-0 each week. For the past 2 weeks, we've gone 0-1. I think Tempe, Arizona is where we get it back on track. Then after that, at home on a Friday night with Stanford, I like our next 2 games, Tyler.
All right. I like them too. I like you. Thank you so much for hanging out with us here at The Pregame Show. We'll talk to you soon.